All right, Maddie.
This is awesome.
It's really awesome.
This summer, I spent a day hanging 50 feet off the ground from the branches of a big leaf maple with Nalini Nadkarni. We were hanging out in the canopy, pretty much the part of the trees above the forest floor, all the way up to the top. Nalini was one of the first people to ever study the canopy. Her discoveries have helped shape our understanding of the forests. She's kind of a big deal.
The canopy represents this unknown part of the forest world that, people have been studying forests for centuries, but it's only been in the last 20, 25, 30 years that people have actually climbed up into the forest canopy to understand the environment, the plants, the animals, the microbes that actually live up in the treetops. Every time you climbed a tree, there would be something new, something that scientists hadn't sort of documented before. And so it was just the perfect place to study.
Back in the day, Nalini and a friend even invented a technique to get up into the trees, basically using a slingshot attached to a fishing pole.
Oh, yeah! Oh, my God! You nailed that. I nailed that sucker.
It's more fishing than I expected. No mercy.
No mercy. Every stage has to work.
Right. Yeah, I'm not getting too excited over here.
Yeah, don't get excited yet.
We did it.
We did it! Give me the bump! So now we're gonna get on the rope. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. And then there's that comforting click.
Yes.
The other knee. Good. Woo. Now you're getting there. You got it.
Well,
That's it. Yeah.
I've got it kind of. Wow. I am the tree.
Early on in her career, Nalini got to see all kinds of canopy life interacting with each other in amazing and complex ways. For example, she was one of the people who helped figure out how important canopy soil is to the rainforest.
One of the things that really fascinates me about the canopy is where you get what we call a canopy soil. I mean, that is actual soil that is basically composed of the dead and decomposing mosses that live up here. And it's so weird, you're here smelling this soil smell, but you're up 60 feet above the forest floor.
Why is it so important that the canopies stay around?
I think it's important for canopies to be as intact as possible because they do foster so much diversity that you can get 70 species of mosses on a single tree. In addition, they're also at taking in nutrients from rain and mist and fog and holding on to them. So they're actually sort of like giant sponges and making the forest as a whole much more retentive of nutrients.
It's clear to me that you're in love with this
I am
canopy.
in love with this.
And is that what motivates you to share that?
Part of the reason that I want to share it is because I am emotionally attached to it and I like sharing it, what I'm emotionally attached with other people. But there's another part of it which is just the importance, the ecological importance of these plants and of primary forests. And I want to share that with other people so that they know how important it is to conserve these forests. Because the canopy is literally called the last biotic frontier. It's been so poorly understood. Last biotic frontier. It's been so poorly studied. There really aren't very many people who study the canopy.
I feel like when you say the last biotic frontier, you should look off into the distance.
I
You know
will
what I
now.
mean?
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Practice.
Yeah, okay. The last biotic frontier.
All right. Okay. Both ways are okay ways to go down.
They're very good ways to go down.
Yeah. I could have done that one that way.
This way is more fun.
Yeah, I could have done it if I wanted to, but I chose not to.
No, you didn't.
I could have done it. When do you remember falling in love with trees?
When I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
I climbed trees in my parents' front yard. There were these 8 maples that lined the driveway to our house. I would come home from school and say, okay, time to climb a tree. It was really my own world. It was a place where I could go, where there was no chores, there were no parents, no homework. It was just me and the tree, and that's where I fell in love.
When you were younger, did you have a lot of role models?
No, I didn't really know. I mean, nobody I knew climbed trees. I mean, certainly no grown-ups, but there was no way that, there was some female mentor that said, oh, here's where you'll go if you want to help trees. I really did not discover that idea of a mentor or someone guiding me until I was well into graduate school when I really found that.
Nalini was determined to get scientists in front of young women. When she first started out, she was doing science outreach in all the usual places, universities and museums, but the people that were there were kind of already bought into science. She wanted to reach people who weren't out there looking for science. And in the early 2000s, she and her lab came up with an idea: TreeTop Barbie. At first it was kind of a joke, but then Nalini really thought about it. If she could harness the power of Barbie, she could get scientist dolls into the hands of millions of young girls and boys.
So I called up Mattel. I got the phone number.
Hello, Mattel, it's me.
Can I speak with somebody? And I gave them this idea. And they said, no. We make our own Barbies. We're not interested in this. Forget it.
Even though Mattel didn't want TreeTop Barbie, Nalini decided to make it on her own. One day, she brought TreeTop Barbie to a talk she was giving, and it caught the attention of a journalist in the audience. That landed Nalini in the New York Times, and a lot of people saw it, including some people at Mattel.
So they called me up. They called me up this time, and they said, you can't do this. You're infringing on our brand. And I said, no. I offered this to you. Go ahead, take it. I'd love to see TreeTop Barbie in Toys R Us.
And they said, that's not how it works, Nalini.
They said, that's not how it works, Nalini. You can't do this. So I said, well, I know a number of journalists who would be really interested in knowing that Mattel is trying to shut down a small brown woman who's trying to inspire young girls to go into science.
Nalini, you strong-armed Mattel.
I did. They called me back a couple days later and they said, well, we've talked about it with the lawyers and so forth, and we're not going to shut you down, but you can go ahead and do your little small-scale stuff, and we won't object. I sold maybe 400 Barbies altogether. Really a drop in the bucket. But then, just about a year ago, I got this call from National Geographic. And National Geographic said, guess what? We have started a partnership with Mattel, and we're going to make 5 Explorer Barbies. And would you help us and advise us on making sure they have the right outfits and so forth, the right field notes and so forth? So I was just delighted. I thought, this is incredible. This is like full circle coming around. This is a dream come true. 15 years before, Mattel says no. 15 years later, fast forward, society has really changed enough to have inspired Mattel to make these dolls. There's a change that has happened, that young girls now will buy these Barbies that help them aspire to a science or a discover or an explorer type career. So I think there's an infinite number of ways we can do outreach and connect with people. And Barbie's just kind of a first step. Now, isn't that the coolest thing?